Cool. Oh, that's a cool shot.
Oh, she's in the back.
Yeah, she's in the back, like.
Peace, peace, is Nitty Scott MC representing the Boombox family, and you are rocking with Amazing.com. The Boombox Diaries Volume 1 EP was actually, I would say, like, conceptualized years ago. Like, when I was like 14 years old, you know, I actually envisioned this project that would, you know, represent me and be, you know, this really dope presentation, you know, of myself to the world. So back then, I remember I just called it Boombox. And, you know, I just always just dreamed of this, having this project called Boombox. And I even ironically associated the color blue with it. And when we got into designing the EP cover, my boy Jason True, who designed the cover, he's the one that brought the blue to the table, and I had never even mentioned to him that I had always imagined it being blue. So I don't know, when we got that email, I just remember thinking like, yo, like it's really meant to be, you know what I'm saying? It's really meant to come to life. And but as far as really actively working on it, you know, the whole process of bringing it together, I would say about 2 years we were working on the Boombox Diaries. And you know, there were different situations presented to us for, you know, distribution for it. So that, you know, had a lot to do with the delay, as well as my own progression as an artist. I would just get better, you know, progressively better every week, every month, you know what I mean? And I would be able to go back to older material and be like, oh no, like I have a whole other vision for this, scrap that, or change this, you know. So I really just would not leave any of the records alone, and it got to the point where Jules had to start being like, that one's done, you know what I mean? And because if it was up to me, I would go back and, you know, edit everything that I do. So yeah, I was starting to get these comments of like, you know, I'm the Sade of hip hop and all this stuff, and I was like, yo, relax, like it's coming, it's coming. So you know, we're just concerned with putting out, you know, dope quality music, and in order to do that, I really had to take my time and slow cook as opposed to microwave it. I'm just happy that it's all come to life, you know. It's been very well received as well, so I just feel super gratified, you know. Basically, you know, somebody from his camp had reached out and said that, you know, he was a fan and was interested in meeting me. So we headed to the studio one night, and, you know, we hung out. I played the EP for him. He loved it, you know, and I remember having like the ultimate moment of like, why am I in Wyclef studio right now, hearing songs that I wrote? Like, it was just really crazy. And you know, he appreciated the music, and, you know, we just built and talked. So, you know, it's definitely a dope relationship, you know what I'm saying, for me to have. And you know, he donned me with that Fuji shirt, so that was really awesome. And yeah, that's what it is, man. Shout out to Clef definitely for just, you know, acknowledging and embracing it. Like, super dope.
Okay, so tell me how it happened with Kendrick. Did you call him? Did he call you? Tell me everything.
Yeah, tell me everything. I want the juice.
What was he wearing? Just kidding.
Basically, I met Kendrick when I opened up for him at his, it was like his debut headline show in New York, and he performed at Southwall in Brooklyn, and I opened up for him. And you know, we were just chopping it up backstage, just kind of building, talking about just music and stuff. And I remember I had asked him that day, I was like, yo, you know, we're working on the Boombox Diaries, you know, I would love to get you on that. And he said he was with it. So you know, he went on to do his thing, you know, and continues to just, you know, get bigger. And the next time that he was in New York, I had already written the Flower Child record. You know, I had wrote it, I didn't really have anyone in mind for it or any particular feature or anything. When I really just kind of sat with it and was like, okay, the mood of it is very, very hippie, you know, very mellow. You know, I'm gonna call this joint Flower Child, you know, because this is the place that it takes me to, and that's the part of myself that I feel I'm revealing. You know, it's not just the hardcore spit a beast. You know, there's a part of me that is very, you know, soft and gentle and just wants to grow. You know, so I had written the record, and then once I named it Flower Child, that's what led me to think like, okay, so who better to get on the Flower Child record than the Black Hippie? You know what I mean? The ultimate Black Hippie. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna holla, he already said he was down to work, so I think this is the joint for us, you know. You know, it was dope because I didn't give him any kind of instruction, you know. I didn't say like, okay, so I want you to say this and da-da-da, you know. I just kind of gave him the same breakdown of like where I was coming from, you know, on the joint, and he sat with it for about an hour and, you know, just came out with this beautiful, you know, hook and this crazy bridge. And I just think, you know, it really helped to add to the intensity of the record, you know what I mean? It's like, he's like almost like my alter ego on it, you know what I'm saying? Because he approaches it with a different kind of energy. So, you know, it just really all came together, even like, you know, just the lyrics that he chose to use on the hook. You know, they say greatness gets better with time, you know, thoughts blooming, you know, it just really went along with the theme of growth and flowers and everything. So I was like, oh, that, you know, that's how you just know, you know, when someone's like super talented. You don't even have to be like, so keep it in the right, you know, whatever. Like he had it. So that was it. That was the birth of Flower Child, you know what I mean? And it's just a really dope record. It's super intimate, you know, and it's more of a sincere letter, I feel, than anything else. You know, it was just me just really pouring out, you know, all these emotions that I was feeling towards my fans, you know what I'm saying, as I continue to do what I do, but in the public eye. So.
What are you is it like now? Is it, okay, now it's gonna blow now. I don't know. Like, what is it?
Well, I mean, like, leading up to the EP, I really tried to keep my expectations like humble. Like I didn't want to expect anything crazy and be disappointed or whatever the case may be. So, you know, for me, I'm to the point where it's already a victory in itself. You know, just everything that we've been through to bring this project to a point where we can, you know, give it to you. That process is so much more complicated than a lot of people would think. You know, you get a lot of like, why don't you just put it out or whatever, but it's just really not that simple. So the fact that it's even out there, that it's being spread, posted, shared, bought, you know, that in itself is enough for me, to be perfectly honest. You know, like, I'm not too concerned with numbers or anything like that. You know, I'm not going to say none of those things matter, but I'm just glad to be here. It's kind of where I'm at with it. You know, we were #5 on the iTunes hip hop charts in Switzerland, and we broke the top 30 here in America. So, I mean, like I said, I did not expect anything at all other than like, it's out. That's all I wanted to know. So even things like that was just like, wow, you know, it just really confirmed that we believed in it for a reason, you know, beyond your own bias of like, yo, my shit is dope, my shit is hot, you know what I mean? Like, all, you know, my fans are happy, they're happy with it, and that's the only confirmation that I really need. So
how did you learn to rap so fast?
So fast? Does she mean like hands on the wheel flow? How, I don't know. I would say practice, to be honest. You know, it's like once it's written, I have to recite it many times to get the pronunciation of every single word clear, you know what I mean? So that it's like I can be understood. And once I have the articulation down, then I start, I guess, trying to memorize the words themselves. And then after that, it's the flow. You know, like once you know the words and you don't have to think about, okay, what line comes next, you know, when that part comes naturally, then you can start swagging it out. And so what you trying to say? I got your hands on the bed. And you can start swagging it out, you know what I'm saying? Because you know it. So I guess it's just, you know, practice and my own little process.
Perfect.
Awesome.